Welcome everybody to today's practice, starting in the seated pose, hands at heart center as we set our intention for the day. And gently resting our hands on our knees, taking a big deep breath in, dropping the head back, chest is towards the sky, and then exhaling, curving the spine towards the back. Inhaling, dropping the head up and back. Exhaling, curving through the shoulders and the spine, pulling ourselves forward and then dropping back to get some fluidity through the spine. Sitting tall, coming back to neutral spine, then coming onto all fours. We're going to run through some cat-cows. These have really been helping my lower back issues. So just in your own time, flowing through 3 cat-cows, dropping the head back, sinking the belly to the mat, and then exhaling, dropping the gaze between the legs, curling through for cat. Going back to neutral spine, stretching the arms out, and then sinking the forehead down onto the mat as we push our chest towards the earth. 90-degree angle from the hips to the knees to the feet. Getting a beautiful stretch through our arms and our back. Taking some rounds of breath. And then coming up, pushing through the hands into downward facing dog. Pedaling out the legs here if that feels good. Pushing the heels to the mat. Dropping the head heavy. And taking the right leg high, bringing the knee towards the nose 3 times. And then on the last one, placing the foot between the hands. Dropping the back knee to the mat. Raising the arms up above the head. Maybe leaning back a little bit further on the exhale. Hands on the front knees, we sink even further into this pose, getting a beautiful stretch through our hips and our pelvis. And then placing the left hand on the ground as our right hand reaches for the sky. Maybe placing the hand behind the back and opening the chest that little bit further. Unraveling the arm, hands back to earth, kicking the right foot back to meet the left in downward facing dog. Going to change sides, so the left leg's going to go long, bringing the knee to nose 3 times, really engaging the core, the arms. And on the third one, taking the foot between the hands, coming into our low lunge position. Dropping the back knee to the mat, raising our arms up above the head, leaning back, giving the back a bit more of a stretch if that feels good. And then hands to knee, sinking deeper towards that front foot. Planting the right hand down, left hand goes long towards the sky. Wrapping the arm around the back, opening the chest that little bit further. And then bringing the hand back to the mat, kicking the left leg back to meet the right in downward facing dog. Walking the feet between the hands, coming into forward fold, halfway lift, forward fold. Big deep breath in as we raise the arms up above our head, bringing them to our heart space, and then dropping the left foot back, right foot forward into warrior 2. Arms are outstretched, flipping the front palm, reverse warrior. Bringing the right arm onto the right leg. Left arm is overstretched high above the head. Back to warrior two. Turning the feet on 45-degree angle, goddess pose. Really feeling the stretch in the pelvis here, maybe creating some movement, stretching the shoulders, taking one shoulder to the front and then the other. And coming back into goddess pose. Placing the hands on the hips as we forward fold with straight legs, placing the hands on the mat in front. You can put a slight bend in the knees if you need to, dropping the head heavy, maybe grabbing the elbows, taking a few rounds of breath, maybe grabbing the ankles if that feels good, pulling the upper body towards the legs, or walking the hands underneath the bottom, getting an even deeper stretch. And coming back, placing the hands on the hips as we slowly raise the upper body. Turning the left foot towards the front of the mat. Warrior two, reverse warrior on the exhale. And then left arm rests on the left knee this time. Right arm goes overhead. Back to warrior two. Feet on a 45-degree angle, goddess pose with cactus arms. Hands on our hips as we walk the feet in a little bit closer and drop down into yogic squat. 3 rounds of breath here. Placing the hands on the earth. We're just going to come onto our knees. And raising up onto the right knee, left leg goes long, left arm goes overhead, really planting down through the wrist of the right hand, maybe grabbing the left foot with our left hand, giving a beautiful stretch through the quads. And then gently releasing the foot and bringing the knees back to meet each other. We'll change sides here. Coming up onto our left knee, planting down through the left hand. Raising the right arm overhead, right leg long. And then lifting the right leg. Maybe grabbing the right foot behind the body. Giving the right thigh a stretch. Then gently releasing. And then bringing the knees back to meet each other. Sitting up on the toes that are tucked underneath the bottom now, really stretching out the soles of our feet, our toes, closing down the eyes if you want to. And then coming back into downward facing dog. Bending the left leg up now, right leg goes long, coming into pigeon pose. Sitting tall on the hands here, or you can come down onto the forearms if that feels good. Breathing deeply into any tight spots. And then pushing back up onto the hands. Left leg meets the right leg for downward facing dog, and then we'll change over to the other side Bending the right leg this time, bringing it under the body at a 45-degree angle. Left leg goes long, toes are untucked. Staying up on the hands or coming down onto your forearms if you want a deeper stretch. Three rounds of breath here. Pushing back up onto the hands. The right leg goes back to meet the left in downward facing dog. Coming into high plank. Gauging the core. Bracing the arms. Dropping to our knees. And then coming into side pose. Right elbow on the mat, lifting the hips, knees are bent, left arm goes high above towards the sky. Really squeezing the glutes. I'm going to do 3 hip raises here, so dropping the hips to the mat, raising them high again. Coming down, changing sides, so left elbow on the mat. Making sure it's under the left shoulder, right arm goes high, hips are high, squeezing the glutes, embracing the core here. Don't forget to breathe. And then dipping the hips 3 times. Just rolling down to the seated position, V-sit hold, and then slowly lowering the body down to the mat. Raising up into a bridge pose, taking the hips towards the sky, squeezing the glutes, pushing through the shoulders and the arms. Hugging the knees in towards the chest. Maybe taking the knees wide. Or you can interlace the toes with the fingers, coming into happy baby. Find the pose that brings the most comfort and joy to your practice. And slowly lowering the feet to the mat, bringing the left knee towards the chest, right leg long, and then alternating sides. Right knee to chest, left leg long. I'll run through a couple of these, syncing each movement with the breath. Placing the feet on the mat, coming into a back bend, so hands by the head, pushing up through the arms and the feet, taking the hips high towards the sky, dropping your gaze to the mat. And then slowly unraveling. Coming into inversion pose now, so using your hands to support your back and your bottom. Legs are long, toes are pointed towards the sky. And then exhaling, lowering the legs down, knees coming either side of the head. Maintaining control, forearms are on the mat. And just resting here for 5 rounds of breath. Deep and slow. Maybe interlacing the fingers behind the back, stretching the arms away from the ears. And when you're ready, slowly unraveling, bringing the hands back up to support the back as we push up through the legs, and then slowly lower the hips back down to the mat. Maybe just resting the knees on each other. One hand on heart, one hand on belly. Taking some deep breaths here, breathing into this space. Connecting with self. And then taking the legs long, coming into our final resting pose. Just taking a moment to check in, do a self-assessment of how you're feeling physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. If you want to stay a little bit longer in Savasana, feel free to do so. Started to rain pretty heavy on me, so I've had to cut it short. But please feel free to continue your practice, and I'll see you on the next video. Namaste.